Good morning and welcome to your restorative class. My name is Yvonne and I'm one of the more yoga, restorative and yoga teachers. Restorative and hatha yoga teachers, I should say. So welcome to an hour's relaxation. That is the beauty of the restorative practice. So also bravo to More Yoga, because today they're supporting Move for the Culture, which is supporting culture, raising awareness of diversity in all kind of sports and wellness. So I'm proud to be one of those teachers of colour leading this class today and being part of the More Yoga family. And also bravo to them for supporting black curriculum. So all classes this weekend the donations are going to black curriculum to teach black history in schools, which right now is a very important directive. So thank you so much. So props. We always need props for our restorative yoga, and you can improvise. So don't worry if you don't have exactly these things, you can improvise. So what we need today is a strap. A dressing gown belt or a robe belt is fine. 2 blankets or 2 towels. We need 2 bricks or 2 hardback books if you have them, and most importantly a bolster. And the bolster needs to look something like this, as near as you can to something like this. It needs to be sturdy but have a little give in it, because it's going to support your body in a particular pose today, but it always needs to be quite sturdy and not too soft. So you can use a firm pillow, fold it in half, wrap it in a blanket, put it inside of a pillowcase, or indeed you can use a sleeping bag, wrap it around. There's a good blog on our website that talks about household props for yoga items, so have a look at that, because this will be saved in the library. So a little bit of housekeeping to get the best from your class. Drop your blinds or curtains so there's not so much light coming in, so your nervous system can relax, because that's one of the factors that affects your nervous system, the light. Temperature wise, if you've got a window wide open, I recommend you close it in a bit, because you'll be laying in postures for like 5-7 or so minutes, and being still for that period of time, you notice the temperature, and your body temperature will drop and you'll feel colder. And lighting, temperature and noise. So I don't talk an awful lot as the class goes through, because it's about your relaxation. And to aid your relaxation, I actually recommend you listen to the track that's at the top of the chat box. My colleague kindly dropped it in there for me this morning. It's called morning Bill. It's called Tambora. It's for deep meditation, but it's also for relaxation. So if you can just click on the Spotify link, I really do recommend you listening to it. Have it at a sort of lowish sound, volume rather, so you can hear me give the instructions or breath cue, but when I'm quiet you'll hear the Tambora. It does work. Try it. Okay, so let's get started. Enough talking from me. So for this first one, all you will need is just 1 blanket for your head. Everything else we can just put to one side for the moment. So 1 blanket for the head, and when you fold the blankets in restorative, it's always important that we fold neatly, smoothly, because any lumps and bumps affects your comfort, and the trick is always to fold short edge to short edge. So we're making roughly this sort of shape blanket for our head, okay? And from here, really simple start today, because I also want you to be able to do some of these poses on your own at home. And sometimes you don't need a lot of props to do that. So we're starting in effortless rest pose, and the blanket should only support your head and neck. Shoulders are on the mat. Feet down, knees up. Your feet are about hip width apart, which is roughly 2 knuckles distance between your feet. Hands by your hips, roll the shoulders down the back, and just come down onto your elbows and ensure that the blanket is supporting head and neck only. Now from here, line up your heels in front of your buttock bones. And you know, this is a nice starting position. You can start here. You can either have your hands on your last ribs, or you can extend your arms out long like Shavasana arms, palm facing up. Let the fingers soften in towards you. But we're going to step the feet slightly wider. So instead of, you can stay in this position, but what I'd like you to do this morning is step the feet as wide as the mat. Still have the toes facing forward, and then just gently let the knees knock into one another. And that allows for the whole back body, the whole sacrum, the whole pelvis to really just release into the mat. And we equally want our upper body to feel connected to the mat as well. So to do that, you brace your elbows into the mat and have your palms, fingertips facing towards the ceiling, and root your elbows into the mat. Lift the chest because it draws the shoulder blades together. And then as you release, it actually does create more space. And then gently lengthen your chin down towards your chest. If you're wearing glasses, once you've seen me get into the pose and you've arrived in the pose that I've demonstrated, take your glasses off, because it's another layer of relaxation. So you don't need items on that don't serve you, but appreciate, obviously you need to see. So connect to your breath, inhaling towards the heart and exhaling towards the crown. And you're very gently just going to settle into the pose, connecting to your breath, trying to shut off whatever you were doing just before you came to class, and separating from what you're going to be doing when you finish class, and plugging some distance between those 2 points by arriving in the yoga practice. And you know, there is lots going on in the world at the moment, and it's really, really important to have your self-care, and well done for making time for the yoga practice today, especially this style. This restorative work is just so vital for the nervous system. It's something we should do anyway, but I think particularly at the moment where there's a lot of emotion in the world, looking for sustained change. So yoga, we know as a reminder, is centuries and centuries and centuries ago created in India, and I need to discover there is a Kemetic yoga from Egypt. I need to discover more of that. So my training and my familiarity on my training courses has been more on the Indian depths of yoga, which is vast, but you know, we're always learning, always discovering. So Mr. Iyengar is a key influencer of 20th century yoga, and I would recommend his book Light on Yoga. I have a copy which was given to me by my first yoga teacher. It doesn't look like this anymore, the cover is completely different, and it means a very lot to me. It means an awful lot to me, because when it was given to me I had no inkling of ever being a yoga teacher. I was just getting used to the poses. So Mr. Iyengar created all of these props, blocks and bricks and belts and bolsters to enable us to get into the full expression of the pose. And the restorative yoga came from when people were unwell. He created a slower sequence to allow people to restore to health, hence the title of the name of the yoga, Restorative Yoga. And then building on Mr. Iyengar's work, which we all do today, if teachers are querying how we, the alignment of a particular pose, we refer to, like on yoga, we refer to Mr. Iyengar's book because it has all of over 200 postures in there with a clear alignment. But coming back to the restorative, his work was built on by an American teacher called Judith Lasseter, and hence with the onset of well-being becoming more popular, restorative yoga is now regularly featured in studios, and obviously Move for Culture, and obviously the work that's going on to increase diversity across the world. You'll see more diverse teachers in your studios sharing the well-being of yoga, and I'm proud to be one of those teachers. So that's a little bit about the restorative yoga, and I do recommend you choose a pose a day. So just to help you settle into your first pose, which is effortless rest, you're connecting to your breath, and building on the British curriculum directive that's coming out, I've read a book recently by Lem Sisay, who was the poet for the London Olympics. He's an amazing writer and poet, and I'm just going to share with you the epilogue of his book, My Name Is Why, because I just think it's a nice theme for today. No judgment, just to have a think about as you move through the practice, as you're relaxing. Be the window at dawn, be the light, be the ocean, be the calm post-storm, be open. Click, clack, clack. I was alone at 18 in an apartment on Poets' Corner. I had a letter from my mother dated 1968 and a birth certificate with my name, Lem Sisay. All the names which came before, Norman, Mark and Greenwood, were created to hide me from my mother in Ethiopia. My mother is from Amhara people in Ethiopia. It is a tradition of the Amhara to leave messages in the first name of the child. In Amharic, the name Lem means why. And I just thought that was quite touching. He was born here, and it's an interesting story, and I just think there's lots of whys for us as society now, so that kind of struck me today. So from here, I'm going to get you to separate your feet, so separate the knees, so take them from resting on one another, and keep the feet as wide as the mat, and very gently just move into a windscreen wiper motion, where you're going to roll to the outside of your right foot, inside of the left foot, and then very slowly inhaling, coming back up and moving over to the left, letting the knees fall to the left, so you roll to the outside of the left foot, inside of the right foot, and you very slowly move between the two, inhaling and exhaling as you go, but moving really slowly. And it doesn't matter whether the knees touch the floor or not, it's about you starting to oil the spine, starting to create a bit of movement, and that movement oils the spine and gives it moisture, of which sometimes it's lacking because there's no fluid in the little joints of the spine. So just a few more
in your own slow time and space, windscreen wiper motion, moving very, very slowly. And if you'd like to, you can bring your head and neck into the motion, but equally slowly. So as your knees go one direction, your head goes to the other direction. And you can keep your hands wherever feels comfortable. I like to leave my hands on the front of my body as I do this. And it's just also oiling, getting a little movement into your neck spine. And just very slowly moving between the two. Keeping the eyes closed. Keeping that breath connection, inhaling to the heart and exhaling to the crown. Do 2 more on each side so you're even. And then once you've done your 2, you come back to the neutral position of effortless rest with your heels in front of your buttocks. So come to neutral once you've completed your 2. Heels back in front of the buttocks, and now just bring the hands to lay on your front body and just notice the rise and fall of the diaphragm. Inhaling and exhaling. And then from here, inhale, arms up overhead. Cross, hold on to opposite elbows and reach the arms overhead so you get a nice opening to the chest. If holding on to opposite elbows feels too tight, you release the grip and just hold opposite forearms, gives you more space in the shoulder. That definitely feels more comfortable for me. And then very gently scrub your heels away from you to extend your legs long, bringing your toes to face you, so you're extending through the heel, and just feel a nice full body stretch. Don't worry, this is as energetic as we'll get today. And then very gently change the cross of your arms. Keep extending through the heels. Just feeling the backs of your hamstrings opening. Slight bend to the knees if it feels too much on the hamstrings. Please do listen to your body. You have to be kind to yourself. Part of self-care is being kind to yourself and not pushing beyond your limits. And then extend the arms long, circle the wrists and circle the ankles slowly. And change direction. And then from there, draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Rock really slowly from side to side so you can feel the pelvis pressing down into the mat. I like to keep my socks on for restorative because it's quite cozy, so that's another recommendation. Even though it's a lovely bright day, because we're laying for a while in the postures, it's quite nice to be cozy with the feet, but personal choice. From here, roll over to whichever side is easiest for you. Looking at the ground as you come up, push yourself to upright. So from here, we're moving into a side opener. So a lot of the work with restorative will change the direction of the spine as part of working towards the relaxation mode, because that is the goal of the restorative, is to move from what's called fight or flight into relaxation. So take one of your blankets from about this shape, fold it in half long ways, so you've got a long sheath like that. Make sure there are no lumps and bumps in it, and make a tight roll. And this roll is going to go under our ribs. So Please make sure it's the ribs and not our armpit. And you'll need your bolster. You have your bolster to the left of you. So have it over on your left hand side at an angle, because you're going to be placing your leg on it. I will show you in a moment. So yeah, have the bolster at an angle just behind you over to the left. You're sitting on your right hip. Your second blanket, the one that you had for your head, just fold it in half so it's a smaller square. Again, keep the smooth edge in towards you. Have that towards the top of your mat. And your 2 bricks, have those right at the top of your mat. You might need to adjust the height. You'll see why in a moment, because we're moving into a side opener, and depends of the opening of the height of your shoulder. All will be revealed in a moment. So you've got your bricks just at the top of your mat, then your blanket in a nice neat little square to support your head and neck. Blanket's going to go under your ribs, and this gap is for your shoulder. So we're bringing our right shoulder down into the gap, and we're coming to laying on our side, and we're stacking our hips. So we're laying on the side, hips are stacked, knees stacked, shins are stacked. You bring this nice little square pillow under head and neck, and you bring it right into the top of your shoulder so you feel really supported. And then probably draw your head back a little bit, because we tend to roll forward in this pose. So this is a side opener, and if you are familiar with yoga and in the standing pose, extended side angle, Konasana, this is a laying down version. So from here, you're going to extend your left leg behind you, extend the heel, and your whole shin, foot, knee should be on the bolster. Nothing should be hanging off. So you might have to get up and adjust it, but your whole foot should be on the bolster at an angle, as if you were standing in that wide angle pose. You keep your right leg bent, so right knee bent, so knee over ankle, as if we were standing in the pose. And then from here we inhale the arm up, turn the palm away from us, and reach the palm over to the bricks. And this is where you'll need to decide how comfortable do you need it, higher or lower. So you need to adjust the height of your box, because your palm ideally needs to be, your arm rather needs to be straight where possible, and it's directly over your ear. So I probably need to walk my palm back a little bit. There we go. But it needs to feel comfortable. And we again, as we extend the leg back, we sometimes roll back. So try and keep the hips stacked on top of one another by probably feeling that you're coming forward rather than back. If it feels too much in the shoulder, you can have the bricks lower, so not overhead, to the left of you by supporting your palm, your forearm here. So it's not as deep an opening, but you're still getting an opening, but it's not as deep as having it overhead. So you can decide, you might push it a little bit forward, but the whole forearm has to be supported. So decide where feels more comfortable for you. There can be a slight bend in the elbow if that feels better, but ideally try to have the arm over the ear, slight bend if needed, resting the palm into the bricks. Do take your glasses off. I need to see what's going on, but you as yogi enjoying at home, do take the glasses off. And now enjoy Supta Konasana, extended side angle pose on the right side. And of course, after a few minutes we will change sides so you are balanced. But do enjoy the opening of the pose, inhaling and exhaling, breathing into the side body, noticing where the breath is moving to as you settle into the practice. Keep the connection to your breath. Keep the connection to the tambura if you're listening to it. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing into the side body, noticing where your mind is. Is it fully in your practice, or have you crept into what's coming next for you later? Try to put it back into your relaxation. Last few breaths on this side. Slowly start to deepen your breathing and very gently bring your left arm back down onto your side, and then bring your left knee back to meet your right and just laying stacked once again, and then very slowly just push yourself to upright, head coming up last. And all you need to do is just turn around, so you're now sitting on your left hip. So I've moved sides so I don't have my back to you, but please just listen, don't worry if you've got your back to the screen, because you're doing exactly the same as you did before. If you can move your camera over, that's great, or whatever you're using. So come to laying on your left side now, blanket under your left ribs, laying on the left hip. Move your bolster over to the right side of you, blanket coming into the top of your left shoulder. Draw your head back a bit. Knees stacked, hips stacked, feet stacked on top of one another. Extend that left arm out long. Bricks or your books are above your head. And then inhaling, extend that right leg out behind you. Again, bolsters at an angle to catch the leg, like you're kicking out behind you. The leg needs to be at an angle, not straight. So it's like that wide leg standing pose. So, you know, it's a good 2-3 feet behind you. And then the left leg stays bent. And then the right arm, inhale up towards the ceiling, turn the palm away from you, and then reach through the fingertips to touch your bricks overhead, and ensure that the right arm is ideally over the right ear. And notice the difference between the sides. It might be very subtle, but just notice where it feels more open or where it feels more tight. And just breathe into it, inhaling and exhaling. And make sure you're laying exactly on your left ear. Left shoulder is grounded in between the blanket and the rib blanket. And just settle into the second side of Supta Konasana, extended side angle pose, the reclined version. Connecting to your breath, noticing where the breath is moving to. Keep extending through that right heel, wrapping the right thigh in towards the bolster, and the left thigh just relaxing into the mat. In fact, you're giving over your whole body to the props to start moving further and further into the relaxation. Where is your breath? Where are you in the practice? Inhaling towards the heart and exhaling towards the crown.
Last few breaths on this side. Keeping to your breath, connection to your breath in your tambura. If any sounds are creeping in from my external sounds or your external sounds to your practice room, try not to identify them or engage with them. Just stay in the practice. Slowly start to deepen your breathing, and very gently bring your arm off of your books, rest of the arm on your hip. Bring your right knee to meet your left, so you're stacked once again. You can extend the arms long so palms are on top of one another, and then bend the right arm and push yourself to upright. So with the restorative work, we deliberately only have 4 poses in the practice, and that is to really allow time for relaxation. The less poses, the more time you have in each one to surrender, to move into the relaxation mode, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. So the next pose is one of the most restorative poses. It's Reclined Cobblers pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. It is my favourite pose, I will admit it, and there are many versions, and we're going to try I think we've done this version before, but it doesn't matter, it's all part of the relaxation. So grab your 2 books, one horizontal at the top of the mat, and then you put your other brick on top, horizontal, I'm getting my shapes wrong today, so horizontal, vertical, stacked on top of one another. Then you take the bolster, and if you've got a traditional bolster with the handle, have the handle away from you, and rest the bolster, the top of the bolster, on the brick so it's angled. And the blanket you had for your head, you can just move that over and put it on the top of the bolster. For your pillow, again, smooth edging towards you. And then come to sitting just in front of the bolster, so not right up against it, but just in front of it. And this is where you will need your belt. Have it quite wide, or if you're just going to use a robe loop, you're going to I'll show you how to tie that in a second, but if you've got your yoga belt, you'll know how to loop that up. With your second blanket, you need to open it wide and half it, so you've got your fullest width, and then half it again, so short edge to short edge, but you want the longest width, and then you're going to roll it, and that roll is going to wrap around our shins. So with Supta Baddha Konasana, which is Reclined Cobblers pose, so called because in India cobblers put the shoes between their feet when they're sitting upright to repair them, so like this. But we're going to do a reclined version, hence the Supta. Supta is reclined. So the rolled blanket that we've just done, you're going to place that around the tops of, well, around your ankles, tops of your feet around your ankles, and then just wrap it around itself. So that should feel really quite snug, and it will hold the soles of your feet together. So soles of the feet together, let the knees fall out, wrap this long roll, your long blanket, around your ankles, tops of the feet, and that creates a nice support. If you've got 2 bolsters, you can have the second one behind your knees. It is quite delicious. But this works equally well. So the loop, so if you're tying the loop, what you need to do is tie it around your thighs.
So if you watch me, I've made my loop hopefully big enough that my knees are naturally falling out to their maximum. And with the knees, if there's nothing there to support them, after a while, as you're relaxing, gravity will let them fall more. If there's nothing there to support the knees or the thighs, it will grip and then it'll interfere with your relaxation. So the belt works as that support. So the belt must not be tight, it's just there to support the thigh. The buckle should be at the front of your shins and in between the gap, so not on the shin, so we don't want it to pinch you. And you pull the belt, or you tie your knot in front, so it's just holding the thighs just like mine are here. Okay, definitely not gripping into you. So as you lay back and you feel it's gripping into you, you need to sit back up and loosen it. So from here, once you're happy, you've got the belt over your knees supporting your thighs. You roll your shoulders down the back, inhaling, and on the exhale you recline onto the bolster. You lengthen your tailbone away as you lay back. You reach up and you pull the blanket right down to the nape of your neck, so you're fully supported. You lengthen your chin to your chest. You have your palms facing up slightly away from you, and you let your fingertips curl in towards your palm. And the reason you do that, it softens the middle of your palm, and that action softens your forearm, softens your whole bicep, triceps. It just allows that softening to go all the way up into the shoulder. And lengthen your chin to your chest. Take your glasses off if you're wearing them, and just surrender into one of the most restorative poses that there is. And it is quite restorative simply because you're getting a beautiful lift of the chest through the bolster, supporting the back, you know, opening the chest so you can get all the breath into the diaphragm and the lungs. And then you're getting a stretch, excuse me, and you're getting a stretch to the inner thigh. And then all our lower organs are being held by the angle that we're now sitting in. And the thighs are supported. And so that combination just makes for a very healing, calming pose. And I've taught restorative in many different scenarios to many different people, different ages, and I do have to say this is the pose where I see people really, really fall into relaxation. So I will be quiet to allow you to enjoy the pose, and I will stay in it myself. inhaling to the heart and exhaling to the crown. Last few breaths in this pose. Slowly start to deepen your breathing, and very gently hold on to the sides of your knees and very gently draw them together. Remove the belt, place that to one side, and gently just roll to the side. Loosen the blanket from your ankles and come to upright. Keep as slow and inward as possible as we transition into your Shavasana. So for your Shavasana, you can undo the blanket for your head, make that bit wider. Move the bolster towards the edge of your mat, horizontal. Move your bricks to the end of your mat because you're going to place your heels up on the bricks. Open your blanket out slightly wider. Still hem edge towards you because we're going to use that to shape our head. And then this blanket that was around your ankles, you can just open that up to the half fold, fold it again, and you'll have a couple of options what to do with that. Place the belt back on, but obviously a much smaller loop, and that's going to go mid-thigh. So you bring the belt up halfway between knee and hip, mid-thigh, pull it again so it's firm, buckle in the middle or your loop in the middle of your thighs, palms by your hips. Ensure that your heels can comfortably reach your blocks. So one heel up on each block, not too wide, so roughly just hip distance apart. Bolster directly behind the knees. Roll the shoulders down the back. Come down onto your elbows and lay back on your blanket. And then the second blanket, you've got three choices actually. You can either open it right up if you prefer and cover yourself, or you can rest it on the thighs, or you can rest it on the belly. The extra weight just allows you to have a really nice Shavasana. So a couple of adjustments before you settle into your final pose. Lift your right leg, turn your toes towards your left foot, because that allows the thigh to turn to release your back. Turn the toes back to neutral and just rest the heel back down onto the block. Same on the left side, lift your left foot, turn the toes to the right. So the right thigh's turning in, releasing the back, toes back to neutral, heel back on the block. And then our head, you're going to use the layers of the blanket to start shaping your head so you feel quite cocooned and held. So you pick up the first layer of blanket and snuggle it into the nape of your neck. Fill up the nape of your neck with the blanket. Once that's done, you then start to shape your head with the blanket. And you keep pulling it in until you've got no blanket left and it's all shaped around your head. And it should feel quite snug. And if you've got any blanket under your shoulder, you tuck that in as well. And then extend your arms away from you. If the blanket's on your belly, you can have the backs of your palms on the side of the blanket. Palms facing up. And just give your whole body weight over to the earth. Scan your body for any tension. And send breath to anywhere that has any tension left. Lengthen your chin towards your chest so you feel that little stretch at the back of the neck. And then finally, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more times. Inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. Last one. Inhale through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And surrender to your final pose, Shavasana. deepen your breathing. Very gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing life back into the body. And then very gently inhaling, raise your arms overhead. And if you'd like to, you can push your heels into the bricks and lift your hips from the mat and circle your wrists and circle your ankles. And then gently lay the hips back down, draw your knees into your chest, slip your belt off, and very gently rock from side to side, really slowly, mindfully, very slowly. And then very carefully, whichever side is easiest for you, watching out for your props, you roll to that side. And whichever arm is against the floor, you extend it long and rest your head on your arm, making a pillow. And just lay there for a couple of breaths in the fetal position. Make sure you're completely on your side. Knees and feet are stacked as they were earlier. And then gently flutter your eyes open and gaze at the first thing that you see. And then using your top arm as a lever, push yourself to upright, head coming up last. And then come to sitting on your block, your bolster, or a blanket. And then sit comfortably for you. Palms facing up or down on your thighs, whichever suits you. And just close your eyes, connecting to your breath and seeing how you're feeling after your restorative practice. Inhaling, bringing your palms to heart center. Exhaling, bowing your head to your hands in gratitude for making time for your yoga practice today. We trust that all beings are well and safe and free from fear. Release the palms, open your eyes, raise your gaze. Peace, peace, peace. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be on here for I'll be live for another few minutes, so if you have any questions or comments, please do drop them in the box. And feedback is important to us, so please do take the time to give us a thumbs up or indeed a thumbs down. And if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my handle is Yvonne Henrietta Yoga. I'll write it in the box. Thank you so much once again, and have a great rest of Saturday. Thank you for the thumbs up, that's very kind. So I've popped my Instagram handle up. Divya, thank you so much. Divya, thank you. That's very kind of you. So yeah, my Instagram handle, Yvonne Henrietta Yoga. I do post daily.
Thanks, Bill. See you tomorrow evening. Have a great day. And again, thank you for supporting the class, and hopefully you've made a donation to the Black Curriculum. That's great, thank you. So a couple more minutes and then I will also have a nice Saturday. The sun looks like it's coming out. So if there are no further comments or questions, I will bid you a good Saturday and hope to see you tomorrow evening. 5:30 is my next restorative class. Take care.